Welcome to the Richard Sherman Podcast. Hit that sub button if you're new. We're here to give you great NFL content, game recaps, player interviews, and stories from around the league. Please tune in. Welcome back to the Richard Sherman Podcast. It's been a crazy week. Some unexpected wins, some unexpected losses. Obviously, the big games for me were the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. We'll start with the San Francisco 49ers. Home game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. A chance to exercise some demons. A chance to really kind of turn their season around in a way and really get themselves back on track, get some positive energy in the building, get their fans feeling good about this season. And unfortunately, they could not figure out Spags' defense. Brock Purdy has maybe his worst game as a pro. 3 interceptions, a number of them coming in Kansas City's territory, with chances to score. One of them coming in the red zone. And he just looked off a lot of the game. Didn't have a great connection with the receivers. Obviously, losing Brandon Ayuk to potentially an ACL is just a devastating even thought for this team, dealing with a lot of chaos already. Deebo Samuel had a sickness, a virus of some kind that held him out of this game. Juwan Jennings still hasn't recovered from his hip injury, so they were down their top 3 receivers at a lot of the second half of this game, and for a good portion they only had Brandon Ayuk. So they down to their Ricky Pearsall, who had a solid game, but it's his first game coming off the gunshot situation. And, I think he played solid. They tried to lean on Kittle, and Jordan Mason got going in the second half. They start finding running lanes. And I thought the defense played good enough to win. If you hold Patrick Mahomes to what they were able to hold him to, they held him to 154 yards passing, no touchdowns. It was the second fewest passing yards of his career. They picked him off twice. They tipped the pass, picked it off. Another pass, Diamador Lenore made a great play on a pass to Xavier Worthy. You would think they would win this game, but they allowed him to run the ball for 33 yards, which was the longest run of his career, on a play that I think they could have did it after 5 to 8 yards probably, but I think he got on the sideline. Guys don't know if he's going to step out or he's going to keep going. He usually steps out. And, that's a play where I'm sure the fans are like, come on, you got to keep playing hard. But after playing this game as long as these guys have, as long as I have, it's a weird situation when you're on the sideline. It's not like you can get penalized, you can get fined, you run all the way over there and you hit the guy as hard as you can to knock him out. It's not going to go well. And a lot of times he's going to go out and you got to slow your momentum so you don't run into him unnecessarily. But that was a play that probably could have been stopped and end up being a factor in the game. Kareem Hunt ran the ball for 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Looked really good, ran behind his pads. I thought the defense did a good job stopping him at times. I know everybody wants to be upset at the defense. Why didn't the defense do this? Why didn't they do that? They played well enough to win. When you hold Mahomes to these kind of numbers, when you cause the 3 and outs that they caused in the second half, get turnovers, give the offense the ball back. If you have any chance of winning that game, those are the stats you need to see when you're facing this team. But offensively, you can't turn the ball over 3 times at the quarterback position. I'm sure Brock understands that. I'm sure he's going to be critical of himself, watch this tape, and really try to come up with answers. Because right now I can't tell if it's mental or physical, because they just don't have the answers. And they weren't on the same page. There was a miscommunication with Ronnie Bell, where everybody wants to get on Ronnie Bell and say, hey, why he messed it up again. Kudos to Brock for going to his press conference, standing up and saying, hey, that one was on me. He ran a good route. I didn't throw a great ball. Got it. That's leadership. That's accountability. Understood, respected. But right now, the Niners, again, like I said earlier in the season, it was concerning losing that game to the Arizona Cardinals because you don't have that many mulligans to give and to use them on division opponents that should not easy wins, because there's no such thing in the National Football League, but these are games that are winnable games and comfortably winnable games. Whether you're healthy or not, you have the better team and you have the superior team. You have to win those games. And when you don't, you want to see teams like this where you need your mulligans, where you could say, hey, this game can go either way. And if we lose, it's not going to knock our season off track. Now, in all honesty, San Francisco, the 49ers, they've been here before. They've been here before. They've had this record, and they've ended up in the NFC Championship. So there's still hope for Niner faithful that this team will turn this season around. But right now, I'm really concerned because of the injury to BA, the uncertainty with Deebo Samuel, the uncertainty with Juwan Jennings, the uncertainty with CMC. It's just so much. I think the defense is starting to find their way, starting to figure it out. I think Dre Greenlaw, give him a couple more weeks, maybe a month, and he'll be starting to work himself back into the fold. But I thought the defense played pretty well. I thought Malik Collins has been a phenomenal player this year. I thought Leonard Floyd and Nick Bosa had a good game. They both played hard, caused chaos, wreaked havoc throughout that game. Bosa was a part of the pressure that caused Diamador Lenoir's interception. I thought he's played his best ball of his career. I look forward to him getting his payday. But the special teams continues to be an issue every game, and I just can't figure out why. It just seems like guys aren't focused. There's not a lot of attention to detail that these guys are putting forth. And these are simple things. These are things, I know everybody wants to say it's on the coach. It's on the coach. They coach these things. They coach lane integrity on punts. And you can coach it all you want. You can say, hey, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. You can drill it. If guys get in the game and they don't do what they're coached to do, I don't know what you can do about it. You can say, fire the coordinator. I've never seen that work successfully and have a positive impact on the team. Guys got to play better. They got to execute better on punt return integrity, lane integrity. You keep half the guys on one side of the field, half the guys on the other side of the field, and some guys in the middle. The personal protector is up the middle, and there's a lane for everybody. Anytime you get half the team drifting one way, it's going to be an issue. And I think that's day one football. That's common sense football. I don't really understand that, but they've had a number of injuries. They got guys playing that haven't played these positions before. So there's something to that. But on the other side, the Kansas City Chiefs just keep winning. And I don't know how. Patrick Mahomes is leading the league in interceptions, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because Spags and this defense, Chris Jones and McDuffie and Justin Reed, these guys just keep playing well. Christian Roland Wallace had an interception. He was a free agent they found from USC. Like, these aren't guys that just high drafted guys. They just have a good scouting department, a good culture, a good team, great coaches who keep developing guys and keep putting guys in good positions to be successful. And they keep finding them. They keep finding these diamonds in the rough, and they're showing up and they're showing out. George Karlaftis is having a really good season. Nick Bolton continues to show up, batting passes away, showing up in passing windows. I wonder when it's going to catch up to him, but I think we've been wondering that for a number of years. When is it going to catch up to the Kansas City Chiefs? When is it going to catch up? When is everybody going to catch up? Well, they're playing some of their worst football during this run, and they're 6-0. So that should have the rest of the league very, very concerned. It has me concerned, because I'm watching these games and I'm looking and I'm like, I don't see how they're pulling these games off. And it's against quality teams, good teams, bad teams, whatever you want to feel. But they're pulling these games off. They're winning, whether it's by one score, two scores. They beat the San Francisco 49ers, who came into the season as one of the NFC's top contenders. In my opinion, a team that they're going to meet in the Super Bowl. They beat him by 10 points when Patrick Mahomes probably plays one of the worst games of his career. The defense shows up. You got to give Spags, you got to give Andy Reid a ton of credit. They just know how to win. They know how to win on the road. They know how to win ugly. They know how to win in an elite way. I don't really have a ton of answers for that. I look forward to seeing how the 49ers play this Sunday night against the Dallas Cowboys, who are dealing with their own set of issues. Who have their own set of problems and have consistently gotten beat by a lot of points and given up a lot of points at home. So, again, it's a good litmus test, because the 49ers are going to have to put up a lot of points. And they're going to have to do what these other teams have done and show that they're the elite team that we all know them to be. or else it's the narrative is going to begin to shift and it's going to begin to change. And I hate for that to happen. The Kansas City Chiefs are at the Las Vegas Raiders. That's again a nice competitive divisional game. I'm sure that both teams are going to be up for that. These teams have a nice rivalry. They don't have a good liking to one another, and I think that's going to be a better game than people expect.
The roller coaster of an NFL season is moving right along, and it promises to be a month full of tricks, treats, and of course, touchdowns. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Running it in from the 1 or on an 80-yard bomb, we don't care how they score touchdowns. We just want to bet on them. DraftKings heard us, and they are delivering. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. Here's a reason for new customers to do a touchdown dance of their own. Bet just $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code RICHARD. That's code RICHARD for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video. It's the best season yet, packed with big rivalries and even bigger stars. Join Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, and Kaylee Hartung every week for the games you can't miss. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial, and you can cancel at any time. It's Thursday Night Football, and it's on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details. The other game that I was looking forward to went in a lot more positive of a direction, and that was the Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. The Seahawks were coming off a 3-game losing streak, and now they sit atop the NFC West. They played a really good ball game. They made a change at right tackle from Stone Forsythe. I think that was a huge move. K9 being even healthier than he was helped. And this D-line played I can't say their best game because they've had some really, really good games this season, especially early on. But their best game in a while. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They played with a lead for most of the game. And that changes the way Mike McDonald's able to call this defense. It changes the way they're able to rush. They're able to cover. It helps the secondary because this D-line, Boye Mafe, has been one of the best pass rushers this season and last season, going back into last season. When he's healthy, he's a devastating pass rusher. Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams got a sack. You just saw a lot of guys having their way with this team. And I think that's what you want to see, and that's what you appreciate in a Mike McDonald coach defense, that they're going to pressure, and that pressure creates turnovers. They're running a lot of too deep, and they're stopping the run. He made a point to say it. We have to be able to stop the run while playing too deep. And both his safeties, Kobe Bryant, who's had his struggles at times, switched positions to safety, got his first start, and had an interception, played a really good game, had been sound tackling. Sometimes you just got to stay the course. And he has stayed the course, and he got rewarded in an interception in this game. Julian Love is getting healthier, got an interception in this game. And it just goes to show, like, when this defense works, but it needs a lead. You need to have a lead. You need to be able to rush and show these disguises. It's hard to play this defense when you got to come from behind consistently, when you got to deal with deficits instead of leads. And Geno Smith, the numbers don't tell the story. He was 18-28, 207 yards, 2 TDs. But he just is under so much pressure every single game. And I don't mean pressure from the outside world. I mean legitimate pressure in his face. It's guys coming scot-free, guys, whether it's a blitz or they're just beating their men one-on-one. This offensive line, it just hasn't consistently done a great job of protecting him. In this game, they did a lot better, but still, he was under duress a lot of his game. His 2 touchdown passes came from pocket movement. He's staying within the pocket. He's keeping his eyes downfield. He's trusting his offensive line, and he's delivering dimes. If they could protect him and keep him upright. I mean, he can throw for 400 or 500 yards and really devastate it, especially with the weapons that they have offensively. He delivered some really cool passes to K9, a dime to DK Metcalf right before the half. Even JSN got a pass in there, and it was a pass. I'm sure he would have got back to the receiver room had he not thrown that pass up to DK, and DK would have been like, man, if you would have just put it up, I would have called it. Now, every single time they run that play, JSN is going to be like, well, DK, I got to put it up there, or DK's going to come back to the room and they're going to be pissed off, and he's going to be like, I told you I would have called it. I'm not going to let him pick it off. That was a great pick, great adjustment by DK. Hopefully he's okay. From my understanding and everything that's out there right now, Mike McDonald seems to believe that DK Metcalf's injury isn't as serious as they thought it was initially. So that's positive, especially with everything else that's going on, the positive energy, everything is going in the right direction. They have a game coming up against the Buffalo Bills, who are a really good football team, but can be had. And if this defense continues to play at the level that they played at this game and that they played at the first 3 games of the season, I think they can win this game against the Buffalo Bills. Even though it's in Buffalo, it's a game that I don't see Buffalo getting a lot of pressure on Geno, and I think Geno can do a great job with Ryan Grubb coming up with a plan to attack this secondary of the Buffalo Bills, who've been beat up and they've been injured a lot of this season, and they've played next man up mentality. But I think they can have that game. But this is the kind of game you expect this team to have. And I know everybody was ready to jump off the bandwagon after they lost 3 straight, and legitimate, those were good teams. They were saying, hey, they just beat bad teams. Well, this was not a bad team. This Atlanta Falcons team had won 3 straight. They had been playing good football. Kirk Cousins had been playing. We just watched him on TNF throw for 500 yards. So we're not going to act like against a really talented Tampa Bay Buccaneers team who's been playing good football throughout this year. Bijan Robinson has his best game of the season, gets 21 carries for 103 yards. And that's one of the concerns coming out of this game for a lot of the fans is, man, they didn't do a good enough job against the run game. Understand this. It's legitimate concern. It's legitimate. But 90 of those yards came in the second quarter. And when you go to halftime, if you would have told me after halftime they gave up 90 in the third quarter and they gave up 90 in the fourth quarter or something like that, then I'd be concerned too. I'd be like, oh, man, they can't get it figured out. But this is a game of adjustments. Understand that the Falcons had a good plan coming into the game. They had some answers for some of the things this defense was able to do or this defense had done throughout the season. And so you go into the half, you say, hey, they have those answers. Now let's come up with our answers and our response to what they did. They were able to hold them to 28 yards in the second half. That's what you got to remember. And the biggest thing is 14 points. You can have all the rushing yards in the world. If you're not getting points on the board and you're getting stopped in the red zone, then it really is not that much of a concern. And they were able to hold this team who's been scoring points in bunches to 14 points. This isn't a team that's a low-scoring offense. They've been putting up a lot of points. They've been using their playmakers in a great way, and Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and they were able to hold both of them guys under 70 yards receiving. Sometimes you got to celebrate the victories. Don't just look for things to criticize and look for things to be frustrated about. Like, this is a hard game and it's a hard season, and this team hasn't had a lot of hope. This team is at the top of their division. They're playing good football. They go into a game against the Buffalo Bills that I expect them to come out with a victory. It's a game they can win going against a really good quarterback, but they have a really good quarterback. But do not be surprised now, because I know how happy everybody is with Geno, as they should be, because Geno's a good quarterback. But he deserves more money. So don't change your mind about him when he asks for more money, because he deserves it. He's been playing good football. He's playing at a high level. There are quarterbacks getting $55 million that aren't playing at a highest level as him. And I'm not saying he's going to get $55 million. I'm just letting you know there's quarterbacks. Right now, Daniel Jones is getting 40-something million. You think he's better than Geno? He's not. I'll answer that for you. He's not. There are very few quarterbacks right now that are playing at a better level than Geno. And even those quarterbacks, you can watch the tape. You can check out the tape and look and point out mistakes in their game. So he's one of the most underrated and underpaid quarterbacks in the National Football League, so he deserves the money that he's going to get. I would expect it to be more than 45 plus $million soon. You know, if the Seahawks are doing it right, they have no other succession plan. You're not about to be drafting high enough to get one of the top guys. So start to wrap your head around Geno being the quarterback for the foreseeable future. And that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. Geno's playing good football. This is the best he's ever looked in his career. He looks comfortable. He looks confident. He's a good leader in that locker room. He's respected by his peers, his teammates. He got all the weapons around him. He's got a great rapport with the coordinator. I think this will be a good thing for everybody. And I'm happy for Geno that he was able to find a home in Seattle. I'm looking forward to seeing him play next week against Buffalo. And you know what Seattle earned? And I'm so happy they earned it. As a defensive guy, it makes my day because this is the segment that is brought to you by Uber Eats. It's the almost perfect defense. We highlight the NFL defense that put on the week's most dominating performance. And of course, it's the Seattle Seahawks. They had 3 turnovers on 3 consecutive drives, 2 interceptions, and then Derek Hall has the fumble return for a touchdown. What a season this man is having. Boye Mafe with the sack forced fumble. You love to see it. I just love to see great defense, especially with a Seahawks uniform on. It was fantastic to see those guys really living up, playing to their full potential. These guys are all over the place. They're swarming. Then you see a guy who wasn't even in the picture, the Pro Bowl cornerback, Devin Witherspoon, coming in, throwing a crucial block on that play. You just love to see it. You just love to see great defense and guys playing for one another and the effort that they're going out of their way to see the next man have success. It's not selfish football. It's unselfishness. And that's what you're seeing in this Seattle Seahawks defense. And I hope we continue to see that because it's going to lead to more great things for this defense and these players. And that's Mike McDonald. That's the culture that he's building. And I'm happy to see that. And that's this week's almost perfect defense of the week. And remember, you can order almost anything you want with Uber Eats, the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Now, moving on to the New York Jets playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 teams that I've been cheering for. I love Mike Tomlin and I love Robert Saleh and this New York Jets team, but Woody Johnson's decision has just it's irked me. But I still want to see this team be successful because he built this culture, and I want to see it come to fruition. His vision come to fruition to show, hey, what he did worked. And it seems like they're doing, Woody Johnson's doing everything he can to prove that he was right firing Robert Saleh. Now all of a sudden you want to pay Hassan Reddick, you want to bring him in. You couldn't have brought him in 5 weeks ago. Now you want to trade for Davante. You want to do everything that you can to make sure this team has a chance at winning. Now that you got rid of the coach so that you could prove he was the problem, that's not how you prove it. He wasn't the problem. You're the problem. It's unfortunate, but the Jets have not played well defensively since they fired Robert Saleh. Oh my God, what a coincidence. They've given up 60 points. And before that, the previous 4 games, they had allowed 53 points. That's what happens when you put more on your defensive coordinator who was doing a great job. Ulbrich was doing a phenomenal job calling the defense, him and Robert Saleh, making sure they game planned it together, coming up with great plans, making sure this team played well. Now you put so much more on his plate, so much more navigating, so much more to juggle. Now it's tough for him to really focus just on the defense because he has to make decisions about the entire team, things he hadn't planned on, things he hadn't envisioned making decisions on, he has to do in game. And so his in-game play calling is different because it's, but that's the story for a different day. But we're going to first off talk about the Jets. I thought the Davante Adams trade was a good move. I thought that Aaron would do better with it. I've never seen Aaron Rodgers play as bad as he's playing right now. He's never thrown this many interceptions this early. I don't think he's thrown multiple interceptions in multiple games in his career until this year. And I could be wrong. Don't fact check me on that, but it just looks odd. He had 8 full seasons where he threw 6 interceptions or less over the entire season. He's thrown 6 interceptions over the last 3 weeks. So I don't know what's going on there. Some of it is errant passes. Some of it is miscommunication. One of the passes was off the hands of Garrett Wilson, and Garrett Wilson took full accountability of that after the game. Made sure that he didn't throw he said that's why we lost the game, which isn't true either, but you respect him taking that kind of accountability and that kind of leadership role and making sure that his teammates know that, hey, to those with great power come great responsibility. And that's the shoulders that he has to bear. Those are the burdens that he has to bear. But it was a catchable ball, a good pass by Aaron, but I don't know at this point what they can do to fix things, because Breece Hall had a really good game receiving, didn't have the greatest game running the football. He had 12 carries for 38 yards, but he had 6 receptions for 103 yards. Davante only had 3 catches for 30 yards. Again, it's going to take a second to knock the rust off, get there. It doesn't just happen in a day, but they're getting so far behind the 8 ball. They're 2-5 now. And again, as I said, you injected chaos and uncertainty into a team that didn't need it. And that's what Woody Johnson did. So you think you're solving one problem, but you're creating several more. And so the defense that was playing really good, second-ranked defense in the league, has started to play worse, gave up 37 points to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's the most points they've scored since 2021. And you start to wonder, you say, hey, it's not all just because Salah got fired, but it's a domino effect. He got fired, then Moore's on brick, and now the players don't know what the future holds. And hey, what's next year going to look like? And you're just creating unnecessary discourse in this locker room. That's what Woody Johnson did. And you think, oh man, now I'm going to make all these moves to try to prove Salah wrong. No, you were wrong. You're wrong. And at the end of the season, that's what they're going to say. They're going to say Woody Johnson made a rash decision that damned this season for this team. That's what they're going to say. And that's the truth. Sure, Aaron Rodgers has to play better. Aaron Rodgers has been better than this. This team was 4-3 with Zach Wilson last season. And so, yes, you expect to be better than 2-5. Have they had some bad luck in some of these games? Sure. Greg Zuerlein missed some kicks that just were uncharacteristic for him. I think he could have made those kicks against Buffalo. They win that game, but they didn't. They're 2-5. And they got a game against the Patriots, who have only won one game this season. They'll probably get a win there. They'll go to 3-5. But it's going to be a tough road to make these playoffs, regardless of all these moves. And I don't know if Woody Johnson's heart is in the right place in making them. Now you want to talk to Hassan Reddick. If you would have talked to Hassan Reddick in August and got this situated the same way, then maybe this defense would have been even more imposing, even more devastating. If you had made the Davante Adams trade when he was available, maybe they would have a better rapport by this time in the season. But you didn't. And so this is what you get. This team is just unfortunately in turmoil, and that's where they're going to be until somebody is able to turn this around. I don't know who it's going to be. And for all you gamers out there, get ready, because Call of Duty is back. Forced to go rogue, hunted from within. This is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Developed by Treyarch and Raven, Black Ops 6 is a mind-bending narrative. And unbound by the rules of engagement, this is signature Black Ops. Dynamic moment-to-moment gameplay, including a variety of play spaces with blockbuster set pieces and action-packed moments. High-stakes heists and cloak and dagger spy activity. Best-in-class multiplayer experience. You will test your skills across 16 new maps at launch, including 12 core 6v6 maps and 4 strike maps that can be played 2v2 or 6v6, marking the epic return of round-based zombies, the fan-favorite mode where players will take down hordes of undead, and 2 brand new maps at launch. You can look forward to even more exciting maps and groundbreaking experiences dropping on both multiplayer and zombies. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is a spy action thriller set in the 90s by the end of the Cold War and the rise of the United States as a single superpower. Head over to callofduty.com/Black Ops 6 and pre-order Call of Duty Black Ops 6, available October 25th. Now it's time for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin. And I said, I wasn't sure about this decision, but you got to trust Mike Tomlin. So I got to trust Mike Tomlin. And that's at the end of the day, he's got 17 years, hasn't had a losing season yet. I'm going to trust him. He knows more than me. I don't coach, and that's why. Because he knew Russell Wilson would give this offense the better chance to win. And early on, it didn't look that way. And I think a lot of people put some tweets out in the universe that they probably end up having to either delete or explain because it takes a second. It takes a second. I expected it to take a second for Russ to knock the rust off because it's his first game. And he didn't have very many, reps in the preseason. And even those reps aren't real game reps. Like it takes a second to get up to game speed, to take some hits, to really see the game and get the speed of the game and let it slow down for you. And by the second quarter, I think he had his feet under him. The game had slowed down for him. Finally put up some deep passes, a contested ball to George Pickens early. George Pickens made a heck of a catch. That got him started. He threw another number of deep passes. He even threw a few short passes that went for long gains. And I think that was back the defense up, back the Jets up, took some guys out of the box because they had to place them too high, and they were able to open the run game up. Najee Harris has his best game of the season, 21 carries for 102 yards and a rushing touchdown. George Pickens, 5 catches for 111, just looked ecstatic out there. He was making some really incredible grabs, but he was getting an opportunity from Russell Wilson to make those incredible grabs. He's putting the ball up early. He's giving him a chance to make these jump ball catches that he wasn't necessarily getting when Justin Fields was at the helm. Sure, they ran into some situations in the red zone that I think had they had Justin Fields, maybe he would have run it in and they would have scored, but it didn't end up mattering. The offense looked really good. It looked like a fine oil machine, especially in the second half. Last few drives, they were moving the ball down the field, whether they're getting a field goal or a touchdown. Defensively, Beanie Bishop Jr., the rookie, had 2 interceptions off Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure he's keeping both of those footballs. I kept every single one that I had. Really incredible game for him, but that's the kind of guys they needed to step up as they have injuries. That defense at times early on looked like they were bend but don't break. They gave up 15 points early, and then they stood strong. And I don't think they gave up any points in the second half. They continued to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. They disrupted these receivers. Joey Porter Jr. looked incredible, strapping, all night. All you kept seeing was scrap, seatbelt, because he was playing an incredible game. And that's what they need. That's what you expected from this Pittsburgh Steelers defense all season. That's what they've been. They've been the heart of this team and the reason they've won ball games. But this offense really picked up the slack in this game, and they found their rhythm. They found their guy. So it looks like Russell Wilson will be starting for the foreseeable future, and deservedly so. He's thrown some incredible passes, gave his offense a lot of energy and a lot of juice in this game. So you got to give him credit. And then you got to give Mike Tomlin a lot of credit for having the wherewithal to make that decision, even though Justin Fields had gone 4-2, 10 touchdowns, 5 rushing, 5 passing, only 1 interception. He still thought, hey, I think I can make a decision to make this team better. And again, he's made decisions throughout his tenure that everybody else doesn't agree with. They end up being a right call. This looks like another one he made that looked like we don't know early on, and it looked like it was the right call. Russell Wilson played a really good game, especially come rusty first game of the season. I think he'll only get better as he gets more comfortable. And this Steelers offense, if they can get the run game going like Najee Harris did in this game, they're going to be a very formidable opponent going forward. And they have a winnable game on Monday night against the Giants, who looked really bad against the Philadelphia Eagles. And Saquon Barkley got his revenge game, ran up and down the field on him, had his way, and I'm sure he's going to happily get this GM fired for making the decision of Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. That's never a decision you should make. He stayed in the division, made sure he got his revenge game, and had a heck of a game in doing so. So I think the Steelers are going to end up 6-2, still in a battle for first in the AFC North. I don't think anybody, including myself, could have seen them with this record halfway through the season. But again, Mike Tomlin may be up for Coach of the Year right now. Maybe he should be up for Coach of the Year right now. not even just based on the decision to play Russell Wilson, but a number of decisions throughout this season that have put his team in position, the position they're in right now, tied for top of their division. He's been phenomenal. So I look forward to continuing that discourse about his coach of the year status. But the game of the week, the actual game of the week, was the Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings. And I think it lived up to every bit of that billing. Came down to the last second walk-off field goal. You can't say enough about both of these teams. Minnesota Vikings are who we thought I can't say who we thought they were, but they are who they were coming into this game, which is a really good ball club and a top contender in the NFC. I think Sam Darnold played a really good game. Obviously had the interception, but 22 of 27, really efficient game, 259. Aaron Jones, 14 carries for 93 yards in the touchdown. Justin Jefferson looked like his good old self, 7 catches for 81 yards in the touchdown. And Andrew Van Ginkel is having an all-pro year, had 2 sacks in the game. He's had a number of pick sixes this season and just continues to just thrive in this Brian Flores defense, but they could not handle the culture of the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. Jared Goff, 22 of 25, almost broke the record for consecutive games with a passer rating over 150. End up having an incompletion late in the game that took that away. I think it was 140-something, but he's playing incredible football. I mean, we talk about top 5 quarterbacks. You got to put Jared Goff in it. And I know people were like, system. I don't care about that. It's hard to play good football in the National Football League. And he's playing as well as anybody this season consistently. Jahmyr Gibbs, his best game of the season, 15 carries for 116 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and one of those long rushing touchdowns, he looked really dynamic, gave him the old 1-2 R1 button down the field. Really, really looked explosive throughout this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 catches for 112 in the tug. And the defensive line, everybody wondered how they would look without Aiden Hutchinson. Devastating loss. They had 4 sacks in the game. They gave up some points, but this Minnesota Vikings offense has scored points on everybody. They were able to get stops when they needed, and again, they got the walk-off field goal. The Lions are the first team ever to have more touchdowns than incompletions over a 4-game span. I'm going to say that one more time for you because it sounds ridiculous when I say it. And even though I'm saying it and I know it's a fact, it still sounds ridiculous. They have more touchdowns than incompletions over a 4-game span. It's never happened before. And there's a reason it's never happened before, because that's crazy. So again, it's a testament to how well Jared Goff is playing right now. It's incredible. The Detroit Lions, this Honolulu Blue. I'm sorry that Mitch can't be here, but I know he's over there hyped because he's been at these games watching Jared Goff hard, scissor, surgical, dissect these defenses, and it's been incredible. It's great for him. Jared Goff playing his best football, 85% over the last 3 games, 85% completion percentage, 296 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, 153.1 passer rating. You can't say enough about that. He's in the lead for MVP because of those numbers, because of everything he's done and the success of the team. They're 5-1. They could beat anybody. I think they'd compete with anybody. And then you got to give Jake Bates a lot of credit. He was selling bricks last year, and he's kicking game-winning field goals this year. What a career arc. What a career arc. We're going to talk about that. I'm sure there's going to be a Disney movie written about it because what a dang arc. The Detroit Lions are such a fun team, such an easy team to cheer for, and so are the Minnesota Vikings. So many underdog stories that you want to cheer for, overcome adversity, developing late, being thrown away, and then fighting your way back to the top for Sam Darnold. This NFC North division race is going to be a fun one, especially with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers still in it, Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears playing really good football, him finding his footing, that Chicago Bears defense. I can't wait for it. The Lions play the Titans next week, which I'm not sure will be a good game. Titans have shown some fight, but got blown out late against Buffalo this week. But the game of the week that I'm excited about, because I'll be there, is the Rams playing the Minnesota Vikings in LA. That's our Thursday night football game. Be there or be square. It'll be on Amazon Prime, Prime Video. Download the app, get a membership, 30-day free trial. You can cancel it if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. So you can at least watch a couple games of us for free. Check us out. I'll be there. And of course, our Breitling player in prime time this week, who else could it be other than Jared Goff, the surgeon? Didn't go to medical school, but is still out there slicing and dicing people open. I don't know. I mean, would I trust him? Would I trust him to do surgery on me? Probably not. But I will on these defenses because he's just been carving. It's never been done. The things that he's doing. It started a couple weeks ago when he went 18 for 18 in Seattle. Against Seattle. And he's just continued on that streak. I expect it to continue versus the Titans. I can't wait to see how far this record goes. I love to see records get broken. But let's continuing on our path in the NFC North. Houston Texans go to the Green Bay Packers, and they lose the game 24-22. The Green Bay Packers, again, a walk-off field goal as time expired. Brandon McManus, who just got there, 44-yard field goal, was signed last week. Jordan Love is tied with Patrick Mahomes for 8 interceptions, leading the league, but continues to have really, really great passing games outside of that. He threw the 2 interceptions, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. His 8th game with 3 touchdowns plus since last season, the most in the NFL. Threw for 220 yards. Josh Jacobs, 12 carries for 76 yards. Also had a receiving touchdown. Romeo Doubs was the flavor of the week this week because it's always somebody new with Green Bay Packers. It's going to be Reed. It's going to be Doubs. It's going to be Watson. You never know, but you just know somebody's going to be going off. And this week it was Romeo Doubs, had 94 yards. Eric Wilson had 2 sacks. Xavier McKinney had a sack. Didn't get a turnover this week, but our boy Xavier McKinney is going to make an impact, continuing his all-pro season. Stephon Diggs and Jair Alexander get into it early in the game, or before the game even starts, and it was fire. You just love to see that. You love to see random chaos in the NFL. That's why it's the ultimate reality TV show. You really never know what's going to happen. You never know when a rivalry is just going to develop before your eyes. And one between Jair Alexander, Keyshawn Nixon, and Stephon Diggs just manifested itself pre-game, and so you're just like, yes, give me more. And of course, they gave us more. CJ Stroud might have had one of his worst games. He was 10 for 21 for 86 yards. Again, this Jeff Hafley coach defense is doing a really great job. They're getting a lot of turnovers, which is great. But this game, they didn't cause the turnovers, but they put a lot of pressure on CJ Stroud, which didn't allow him to be as effective. But somebody that was effective was Joe Mixon, 25 carries for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looks phenomenal. Their defense looked really good. They caused the 2 turnovers from Jordan Love, but you got to give this team a lot of credit. When they have to have it, Jordan Love has given it and delivered, pushed the ball down the field, a little reckless at times, but they're winning ball games. They're 5-2. They look as good as they've ever looked defensively. They're opportunistic. They're putting pressure on guys. They look like a team that's going to cause a lot of pressure. I mean, I just can't wait to see what this division. I think they're putting 3 teams at least in the playoffs. They might put 4. They put 4 teams in the playoffs. That'll be incredible, but that's the way it's looking. They got a bunch of talented teams in this division, a lot of talented defenses, and I can't wait to see it. The Packers go to Jacksonville to play the Jags next week, a team that's won 2 games and just has struggled through this season. I think they'll be able to get that win. The Texans have a divisional game against the Indianapolis Colts, who beat the Miami Dolphins this week, but Anthony Richardson did not look good in that game. And I think, some teams would probably be more fearful if they were playing against Flacco than they are Anthony Richardson, but he's a young quarterback who they believe in, who has an immense amount of talent that I think they understand. There are going to be some growing pains, It's going to be some things he needs to learn, and he just needs to fight through, and they're going to have to be on for the ride. But I'd play Flacco, but that's just me. That's just me. Whatever. Some other topics that happened this week. Again, Saquon got his revenge, 176 yards and a touchdown. The Eagles are 3-0 when Saquon rushes for 100+. Of course, what's new? Saquon's balling behind a more talented offensive line, better offensive weapons. They benched Daniel Jones in the fourth quarter for Drew Lock. Should that be a permanent move? Probably. Should you have never paid him? No question. The fans booing Deshaun Watson at home when he's down with an injury. Understand this. I don't care your personal beliefs or where you stand on a lot of things. But if you cheer for somebody being hurt, regardless of the circumstances, you're wrong. Regardless of what you believe or what you think is right and wrong. Like, I don't know how you can feel good about that. And I never feel good, whether they're on your team or your opponent. Like, somebody's down injured. Like, nobody wants that. It's still a game. This is a game, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a game. So for you to be cheering, and not only cheering, but cheering your starting quarterback for the home team down with an injury, and clearly a serious injury, because this isn't soccer. This is one of them other sports. If a guy goes down, stays down, and gets a cart, it's a serious injury. These are tough guys. They're going to get up. They'll get up with a knee sprain. They'll get up with a dislocated shoulder. They'll get up with dislocated fingers and all that. They'll walk away. They'll walk off. But that was just one of the more disappointing things that I've seen this week or even this year. You know, I understand there's a weird political climate. You see all these ads and just a lot of negativity in the world today. I try to ignore it and try to look past it because it has nothing to do with me. It is what it is. People have their opinions. Live and let live is the way I think and the way I was raised. Everybody else is raised how they're raised. That's fine. But that's disgusting. That's disgusting. You're booing throughout the game. Cool. You don't think your team's performing the way you want them to perform. Understandable. Frustrated. But quieted when the guy's down with an injury. Quiet. Just quiet. You don't gotta cheer. You don't gotta be somber. Just quiet. Like, let the guy have some decency as he gets up and has to deal with a devastating season-ending injury and potentially career-altering injury. That's the least you can do. You know, you can be frustrated your team's not playing as well as you wanted. You can be frustrated that he's not playing the way you wanted him, and he's getting paid a lot of money. Understood. But it's not acceptable to boo people while they're down. I mean, literally booing him while he's down. Everybody's had bad days. Everybody's made bad decisions. Everybody's had moments where they're down, or you're dealing with something that you didn't expect, and it's bad. Could you imagine being in that moment and somebody and thousands of people booing you? Thousands of people that you thought cheered for you, thousands of people that you're sacrificing your mind and body for every week, trying to give them what they want, and you're obviously devastated that you're not able to, and you can understand their frustration, but booing him. Come on now, you could be better than that. And I hate to end on such a somber note, but that's sometimes how it goes. And go out there and vote. Be with your families. Love on each other. Try to be more positive. The world, at least America right now, is just such a divisive place. Don't be divided. Come together. Love each other. Love our brothers and stuff like that. Like, say something nice to somebody today, please. You have a beautiful, blessed day, and I appreciate you joining us, because you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and I love you for that. Hit that sub button if you're new.